Tonight, Metro Atlanta is remembering former South African President Nelson Mandela.
He had that type of morale and that sense of forgiveness.
From his years spent in prison to his struggle against apartheid, local civil rights leaders are honoring his contributions.
He did it passionately and courageously.
What they say will be the true test of his legacy. Good evening, everyone. I'm Jovita Moore.
I'm Justin Farmer, and Nelson Mandela died today at his home in South Africa after a long illness. He was 95 years old. Let's give you a live look outside Mandela's home in Johannesburg right now. People are dancing and singing, celebrating his life. A live picture of the Mandela Monument now here in Atlanta. This is at Piedmont Park, where some people left flowers at the monument. Tonight, tributes are pouring in for the leader who fought for equality. South Africa's President Jacob Zuma announced Nelson Mandela's passing to the world.
Who, more than any other, came to embody their sense of a common nationhood.
President Obama offered the condolences of the United States on the passing of Nelson Mandela, a man he said was a significant influence and inspiration to him.
Today he's gone home. We've lost one of the most influential, courageous, and profoundly good human beings that any of us will share time with on this earth.
Born in 1918, Nelson Mandela was the son of a tribal chief. As a young man, he faced living under apartheid, a system of government-enforced racial division that led to the oppression of the majority black South Africans. Mandela made the fight for his nation and people's liberation his cause. But in 1964, he paid the price with his own freedom, sentenced to a life in prison.
I have cherished the idea of a democratic and free society. It is an idea for which I am prepared to die.
With Mandela in chains, South Africans found a new rallying cry, Free Mandela. It became synonymous with demands for a free South Africa. After nearly 3 decades, President F.W. de Klerk finally released Nelson Mandela.
I greet you all in the name of peace, democracy, and freedom for all.
He was embraced by his people and the world. Mandela became a Nobel Peace Prize recipient and, in the fruition of a political dream, was elected president in the nation's first free election. President Obama is expected to attend Mandela's funeral in South Africa, and he has ordered flags to be lowered to half-staff till Monday. And the president and Nelson Mandela share the distinction of being their country's first black presidents. And Obama says that he is among the millions influenced by Nelson Mandela.
We will not likely see the likes of Nelson Mandela again. So it falls to us, as best we can, to forward the example that he set, to make decisions guided not by hate but by love, to never discount the difference that one person can make, to strive for a future that is worthy of his sacrifice.
President Obama said that he couldn't imagine his own life without Mandela's example.
Tonight, Atlanta civil rights leaders Andrew Young and Reverend Joseph Lowery are among those remembering Mandela. Channel 2's Amy Napier-Viteri is live at the King Center with the legacy they say Mandela leaves. Amy.
That's right, Jovita. More than 20 years ago, Nelson Mandela began his visit to Atlanta by laying a wreath here at the tomb of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Civil rights leaders Andrew Young and Joseph Lowery say in his lifelong struggle for human rights, Nelson Mandela often looked to this country's nonviolent movement for equality.
The test will be, does it make us a little closer together?
That's what Andrew Young says will be the true measure of Nelson Mandela's legacy. The South African leader struggled his whole life to end inequality, and Young says that fight is just as important today.
Still, the struggle in the world no longer is as much between black and white as it is between the haves and the have-nots.
Reverend Joseph Lowery calls Mandela the greatest statesman of our time, a man he says managed to lead even during the 27 years he spent imprisoned.
I remember the day he came out with his head high.
After his release in 1990, the anti-apartheid leader visited Atlanta and received a hero's welcome. But this is a place Lowery says was special to Mandela, who had followed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the nonviolent movement for civil rights.
When they let him look at the television while in prison, he saw us demonstrating and took courage from the fact that we were protesting our own apartheid.
Young says Mandela's life is cause for celebration. Lowery agrees and says his passing does nothing to diminish the light he leaves behind.
He did it having done as much with 95 years as any human being that ever lived.
As long as they call your name, you're not dead. We'll be calling Mandela's name forever.
And both Young and Lowery say each of us has a responsibility to continue where Mandela left off. We're live in Northeast Atlanta. Amy Napier-Viteri, Channel 2 Action News, Night Beat.
And Amy, they shared with us this afternoon on Channel 2 Action News at 5. There was another special connection to Mandela from Atlanta because the city helped in his release from prison.
That's right, Jovita. Actually, immediately upon his release from prison, a delegation of Atlantans flew to South Africa, and there they helped organize people politically and actually helped register people to vote.
All right. Amy, thank you.
And tonight we spoke with Congressman John Lewis about spending some quality time with Mandela. Of course, Lewis was a major figure in the civil rights movement and among Dr. King's inner circle.
And he kept saying to me, "You all inspired us here in South Africa." And I said, "Mr. Mandela, you all inspired us in America."
In June 1990, Mandela showed his feelings for America's civil rights hero by laying a wreath at the tomb of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. here in Atlanta.
And tonight, King Center CEO Bernice King shared with us that even as her father prepared to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, he was talking about Mandela. It's one of the lasting impacts Mandela has on this city.
I hate to say this, but it was almost like a pop star was in town.
Bernice King remembers Nelson Mandela's triumphant tour of the U.S. not long after his release from 27 years in prison. She says Atlanta had a powerful stake in seeing Mandela's release.
Primarily because so many people had been a part of the anti-apartheid struggle, and this was making real for them the fruits of their labor, that here Nelson Mandela is live and in person.
He influenced both of King's parents.
My mother in the early days started raising awareness and writing articles about Nelson Mandela and freeing Nelson Mandela.
King says Mandela was on her father's mind on the eve of Dr. King's personal triumph, winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964.
And he spoke about Nelson Mandela 3 days before he received the prize in London, languishing away in a prison. And he called for basically a global movement.
It was just one of the reasons Mandela made certain to visit Atlanta shortly after his release from prison.
He came here because this is the birthplace of civil rights, and I dare say even human rights.
Now, Bernice King says the world has lost an icon, but civil rights movements will continue to go forward. Tonight, we caught up with Congressman Hank Johnson from Georgia to get his reaction to Mandela's death.
He had to have been one of the greatest human beings to ever walk the face of this earth. And I'm just happy to have been born during a time where I could see him and hear his words and read about his tenacious yet humble spirit.
Johnson also talked about the day Mandela spoke here in Atlanta just after his release from prison. He calls it a triumphant day to remember.
So many people across Metro Atlanta are mourning and remembering the life and works of Nelson Mandela. And Channel 2's Carl Willis live at the Mandela Monument in Piedmont Park, where some have been paying their respects this evening. Carl?
Well, that's right, and this was originally created as a statement demanding Nelson Mandela's release from prison and later considered a monument to his life's work. Now it has become a memorial with people stopping by here to pay tribute. With flowers in remembrance and a comforting kiss, Lucien and Alex DeVoe paid tribute to Nelson Mandela.
It also feels like it's sort of an end of an era.
The two are from South Africa, but have lived in Atlanta for 4 years. Once the calls and messages started pouring in today, they came here to the Nelson Mandela Monument in Piedmont Park to touch a piece of their home.